Hey, how you doing? So November 5th is coming up, and it's a day that I like to call the demi-solstice, because that's the day on which the sun will be halfway between the equator and the Tropic of Cancer. So what does that mean for us in the northern hemisphere? It means that we're going to be spiraling down into the depths of darkest winter. And we've already had some dark days. Today was quite sunny and nice, but we've already had some really dull weather. And that, for this tank here, that means that my stem plants have already started dying off, because the room that we're in right now is a room that is very much affected by sunlight. So the light levels, the ambient light levels fluctuate seasonally, like drastically fluctuate. And I know people say that shouldn't matter, but my stem plants say it does. So I'm going to listen to them because they're the ones that I want to keep alive. Anyway, so having said that, I have a 10-gallon tank which I intend to put my stem plants in for the winter, because so many times I've lost plants before, but now I'm going to put them in a 10-gallon tank that I used to have for betta fish when I kept a lot of bettas. And I'm going to just light it up really strongly. And yeah, it's going to be just it's not a natural aquarium, just for plants only, and I will do whatever it takes to keep plants alive in there. So that's what happens when you're setting up a tank, right? You have to know what your goal is for that tank and act accordingly. So if I wanted to keep, say, tetras, I would definitely tend to go with a planted tank, which means your inch of soil and 2 inches of sand, and maybe some less mineralized water, on the softer side. I don't really like the 0 kH that I have here, but yeah, for some tetras I would do that, smaller tetras for a 10-gallon. And actually in a 10-gallon I might go less with the substrate. So I would tend to go down from the inch and the 2 inches. I would probably go more like 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch or something like that, and then 1.5 inches of sand on top, just to give us more space inside a tank that's already very small, that's all. And it still works. It still works because you're not going to have a lot of plants in a small tank like that anyways, so it's going to be enough. Now, if I were putting some kind of live bear in there, the only one small enough actually to be in a 10-gallon tank is the guppy. And you know that's the favorite of Mr. Corey from Aquarium Co-op. He really likes guppies. I have actually never kept guppies, although when I lived in Trinidad as a young girl, the boy next door to me had 6 tubs of guppies in his backyard. So I think he might have been raising them for the aquarium hobby. I don't know what he did with them. He didn't speak to me at all because I was a girl. But anyway, yeah, so a guppy is a thing that actually people say you can keep it in soft water, but I think they should really have the harder mineralized water, because they do so much better that way. Their lifespan is not that long, 2 years usually, and you get a little bit more when you do a good job of being a good aquarium keeper. But, you know, since they have such a short life, I think it's good to just give them what they want. Yeah, so if you have hard water, that's perfect for guppies. And they like a heavily planted tank. One of my neighbors had a 55-gallon tank with so many plants. Oh, you couldn't even see through, but his guppies, and there were hundreds of them, his guppies were just happy in there, just so happy. And I should point out that that's one of the problems with guppies. I think that's why I've never kept them, is because you might start out with a pair or a trio, But after 1 year, it's not going to be 2 or 3 fish anymore. It's going to be hundreds. So you have to be prepared for that too. What are you going to do with all those guppies? Because it's fine for a 55-gallon tank to be overstocked like that, but I don't think it would be nice to have them in a 10-gallon tank stocked like that. I don't know. Yeah, maybe it could happen, but I prefer not to do that to a guppy. So maybe you should try to make sure you have somewhere that you can sell your guppies or give your guppies in exchange for product, or something like that. Somebody who will take your guppies. And the other thing is, yeah, so if you're going to try and sell guppies, don't buy the cheapest guppies, because nobody wants to buy the cheap guppies from you, okay? They've already got cheap guppies themselves. When you're buying guppies and you want to, or you're thinking about selling them, get the best. I saw some on somebody's website. I think it was April's Aquarium, your local fish store. April's Aquarium is a Canadian place, and they ship all over Canada. They have some really nice guppies. I think it's $35 for a pair, average. Yeah, the really fancy ones are about $35 for a pair, or a trio, something like that. And you have to pre-order. But if you live in Canada, it's one of the places that I go to, and I really recommend them because they do a good job. So if you want some fancy guppies and you're in Canada, they ship the whole, from west to east coast, they ship the whole way. Okay, so now I've talked about fish that have to be in soft water and fish that have to be in hard water. And then of course there's shrimp tanks that you can do, and there are shrimps for soft water and there are shrimp for hard water as well, so you could do that. But my idea is just to have plants only, because I've got a big 55 here I can fill with all kinds of animals. So I want to just have my 10-gallon tank with plants. And it's not going to be a natural tank, I can tell you right now, because I intend to use some Excel if I have to. Partly because I've had problems with Hydra in the past, and Excel will kill off the Hydra. Yeah, so this tank is mainly for plants, to keep my plants alive during the winter. So that's my goal. That's the goal I've set for myself, and that's what I am going to aim for. So now what kind of plants am I getting? I'm going to put in there. I have some bulbitis, which does not like, because the water in here is fairly hard, right? Bulbitis does not like hard water, so it's struggling, and before it starts to die off, actually, it hasn't died. In fact, all the leaves are still on it. There's no death going on at all, but it doesn't look good. So before it starts dying off, I want to change it to a tank where it can have the soft water that it likes. And that's what my 10-gallon is going to do for me. So yeah, so that's my goal. And since I'm just doing the bulbitis doesn't need substrate, and my stem plants don't really, they will root into substrate, but they don't need it really. They can feed from the water column. So my substrate is going to be just a little bit of the old-fashioned plastic-coated gravel. Oh my, just so that you can't see through the bottom. And when I show you the tank, you'll see why I want to cover the bottom. Okay, so let's go over there and look at the 10-gallon tank now. So I have the aquarium half full now. It's quite dirty, but I couldn't wash it outside because Mike, my husband Mike, has turned off the outside water already in preparation for the winter. And I just didn't feel like washing it in the laundry tub. I don't really want it to become contaminated with any of the laundry chemicals, the detergent and whatever else may be down there. So what I'm doing to clean it is I'm going to fill it and let it soak for a little while. Then I'm going to scrape the sides with my little scraper. I've got some expensive scrapers. Yeah, I've got some quite expensive scrapers, but I don't like any of them. The one I like to use is this little old plastic one with the razor. That's the best. To me, that's the best kind. I use both ends frequently. See that? So I can scrape the sides, you know, finish off with some of that magic eraser. It's not magic eraser, it's a cheaper brand. Same melamine sponge, that's it. So clean it up with the melamine sponge, and then any debris that's in there, it will scoop out with a sieve. After that, I'm going to have a hang-on back filter with some sponge in it to get out the rest of the debris. And then, so I'm not going to keep a hang-on back filter on it permanently because it's a little bit too strong for plants. I don't think they will like that if the current is too strong. So yeah, so the hang-on back is just for cleaning purposes. So after a couple of days of it circulating, I will take it back off. And I will talk about filtration for the tank in another part of this series. Okay?